just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. The other thing is that AQ sent me a speaker earlier this week that also acts as like a carabiner so you can attach it to things. So if you ask a question during this session, I'm going to put all of the names of people who ask questions, participate, etc. into like a random name generator, and whoever's name gets generated is going to get this thing, this speaker in their inbox, or not their inbox, their mailbox. So if you are interested, drop a question in the chat when the time comes. I did record myself doing this session, or not record, but time myself doing this session yesterday, and it'll be about 40 minutes of going over the rollout plan, how the commons works, stuff like that, and then we'll have time for questions after the fact. Before I get started, Mike, Sarah, is there anything that you would like to add before I jump into everything?
No, I think maybe at the end we'll see possibly at the end, but not
Sure.
now.
Fair enough.
Me too.
Okay. All right, then we will go ahead and get straight into it. I am going to go ahead and turn my video off so you don't have to look at me and can instead focus on the slides here on the screen. So thank you guys for attending our All Things AQ session. We do have an agenda, as always. We're going to be going through a lot. If at any point you feel like I am speaking too quickly, please do not be afraid to use your microphone or drop in the chat, "Hey Morgan, slow down." You will not hurt my feelings, I promise. You can see that we have a good chunk of stuff to get through today. So we're going to be defining what AQ is. So like, where did it come from? Why does it exist in the first place? I'm going to give you a tour of the AQ Commons. The reason I'm starting there is because all of your certification courses, quick studies, badges, your profile, everything is located in this one spot. There is even a section where you can upload files directly from lessons that you complete, and I'll show you where all of that's located, but it's going to be best to start with the interface before we get into what the interface includes. And those are going to be your certification courses and then those quick studies. We will follow that up with talking about the rollout plan and then benefits of participating in AQ. I'm not just talking incentives, though that is part of it. But I did also want to include some of the buzz around AQ that I have heard from attending conferences over the last month and a half. There was even a point where an AQ representative that did attend one of the sessions had to speak up and say, "I did not plant these people. This is genuinely just feedback that folks are providing because they enjoyed it and they were from institutions that weren't even presenting." So lots of really great stuff being said about AQ. And then, like I mentioned at the top, we're going to have hopefully at 20 minutes or so for questions, provided that I get through this in the same amount of time that I did when I timed myself yesterday. So let's start by defining AQ. You've likely heard this acronym around campus, but what does this mean? AQ stands for the Association of College and University Educators, and what it is an easily navigable and rich collection of professional development resources, all of which are located in one online location. I don't know about you, but when I am engaging with really any kind of resources, when I'm trying to further my professional development, it's a little frustrating for me if it's like, go to this place and then jump through this hoop and then do this thing and then you can access blah, blah, blah. AQ is not like that. So when we're talking about the service, the thing that you will be participating in, this is how it works. You've got very user intuitive, rich collection of professional development resources in a variety of different modes. There are videos, there are resource guides, there are blogs, there are events to which you have access, all of which I'm going to tell you about as we progress. But briefly, some background. So again, the Association of College and University Educators, that's AQ, is endorsed by ACE. That is an acronym you've likely heard before as well. That's the American Council on Education. And it is an organization and professional development program designed to promote and support the following through their effective teaching framework. So I'm going to pause really briefly. You've heard about this before. When Michael Hellard from AQ, he brought everybody Chick-fil-A back in January for our in-service. He talked to you guys about the effective teaching framework. So everything that is built as part of AQ comes from this framework. Anything that they design needs to be built into these core elements. So we've got designing an effective course, establishing a productive learning environment. You may be seeing that and thinking, did that language change? Yes, it did. It used to talk about accessibility and inclusivity. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to guess why it doesn't anymore. But it still effectively means the same thing. So, establishing that productive learning environment, using active learning strategies, promoting higher order thinking, and assessing to inform instruction and promote learning. So, if we're looking at this list, we can already see a lot of these align with the projects that we've been seeing on Mount West campus for a while now. Obviously, we have assessment. Really cool news about assessment, by the way, coming in a couple weeks. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. But we also see using active learning strategies. Think about the high impact practice work that we did during in service or designing an effective course. Mary is doing a fantastic job with the online oversight committee in working to create that quality assurance and all of those guidelines that we'll have and working with Marshall. So this really slots in well with everything we're already doing as a college and will help to enhance those current projects on which we are working. Now, when it comes to getting into it, that's the basics of what ACUE is and what it stands for. But if we're talking about that which is available to you, I'm going to primarily focus here on the ACUE Virtual Commons. But again, you've seen this before. This is their promotional material for the Commons. Michael had this during in-service, and you'll see a couple different things on your screen. The first of which, on the far left, is Foundations of Effective Teaching. The package that the college purchased has 5 free seats for the Foundations of Effective Teaching. Well, technically not free, we paid for it, but it came along with the package, kind of like a BOGO deal. So if you see that in your profile, I want you to ignore it for right now. We need to allot where that's going to go. What you want to focus on are this element in the middle, and that is the certification in effective teaching. That's where those 4 courses come in that we're going to talk about in a moment. And then your ACUE Commons virtual community. They really do stress that community aspect. It's super easy to communicate with other people, both in your school, and I'll show you how to do that in one kind of Facebook-esque place, and then also with other people in their forums, blog comments, etc. So it is billed as a community, but it is also the space where you access all of your courses. And if you've logged into the ACUE Commons already, and I know some people have, I actually get an Excel spreadsheet from Jeremiah Ship, who is our new ACUE rep that's working with us. He sends me an Excel sheet every Monday of who's working on courses, who's logged in, who hasn't, etc. And when it comes to our activation rate for everyone's accounts, it looks pretty good. We're at a good spot. Of course, if you are on this call and you are thinking, oh, I still don't have my email, please email me. I'd be happy to make sure that you get in there. But let's go ahead and dive into where all of this is going to be accessible. Now, I'm going to start with a screenshot and then I'm actually going to segue over into the site itself to give you a larger guide. But when you open ACUE Commons for the first time, this is what you're going to see. You'll have your little welcome message up here in the top left, and then you'll see quick studies on the right. A timeline. You can ignore the timeline. It's just what's going on in ACUE. If you want to be nosy about what other people are doing, you can, but you don't have to. We have latest from ACUE. Most of that is blog posts. Occasionally it will be events. We have you might also like, so it has a little, I hesitate to say it's an algorithm. It's not the same as something that's going to like recommend you content in TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, but based upon your quick studies and things like that, it will recommend posts to you. And then finally, you can access your ACUE courses in that bottom right. So that's where you're going to get your quick studies and also your certification courses. It's your full list of everything to which you have access, which can be kind of daunting, which is why I want to do this in chunks. So let me go ahead and show you the site. So here we can see I've already logged in. And we've got that timeline, the you might like this, latest, everything that I just showed you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each individual tab up here, including the profile, just so that you see what this looks like, what to expect in case you have not yet explored it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our profile. Because on your profile, you can see a lot of interesting things. Number 1, you'll see that I have some points here. What can I do with those points? I don't know. That part's kind of nebulous. But as you complete quick studies, every quick study that you complete, you get 5 points. Sometimes when you log in after maybe a week of absence, let's say you go to a conference and then you come back, it'll give you a couple points from logging in. So if you are the kind of person who likes seeing numbers go up, this is a good opportunity for you. You will be able to see your numbers go up. You will also see your commons achievements. So I've got a little badge because I've completed some stuff here in the commons, but it will also show me all of the different tiny badges that are associated with it if I want to see them. And I can see that by hitting see all. Again, if you are somebody who likes watching the numbers go up, if you like seeing your badges, you can see those here in your profile. You can also write an introduction, your about me section. We have not yet launched our AQ first cohort yet. That's not going to happen until August 24th of 2026. So I haven't included anything here yet. I likely won't. I'm not super social. But you can. That is definitely open to you. And then we've got a couple other tabs that I want to make note of. So we have our courses. So here you can see those quick study courses to which I have access, and then I have AQ courses. It says here, it looks like there hasn't been any engagement in AQ pathway courses yet. Those are those certification courses. Again, they don't open until August. So I see all of these quick studies, stuff that I can go ahead and hop in on, or have already taken in the case of several of these. But right here, if you click on this section, if you see in your AQ courses that there's nothing there, don't panic. Doesn't start until August. Next is your document section, which I think is super helpful. I haven't used it yet. I just found it last week because I was exploring the profile as opposed to the rest of the website. But when you go through a quick study and when you go through a certification course, you will be provided with one, transcripts for all of the videos, but also you get these guides from professionals talking about whatever that content area was. So let's say that you go through the deliberative dialogue series. You will get a series of guides at the very end that give you bulleted lists of things to consider as you are assessing or preparing to assess a deliberative dialogue. Or you'll get sample exercises, any number of things, and they come through as PDFs. It's really helpful, but if you're anything like me, you've got a lot on your work computer. What you can do is you can download them and then drop them here in your comment section. All you have to do is hit this upload file button. And then you get your regular old dialog box that you can pull all of your documents from. So let's say that, hypothetically, I want to go ahead and put the PowerPoint from today in my document section. I can. And there it is. And now I don't have to worry about sifting through my work computer to get all of my documents that are affiliated with AQ. I can just do it here. Do you have to use this? No, but you definitely can. You can also create individual folders in your document section, and I think that that's super helpful. And then finally, we have messages. As I think everybody knows about me, again, not super social, and our launch has not happened yet. But if you do want to communicate with anybody within AQ, you can, and you can do that through your messaging section here. So that's everything you've got just in your profile. Let's check out some other stuff. Now, members, I'm not going to touch on for too long. This is just a list of who's online right now and who is in AQ collectively. You're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. So you can see me right here, obviously, because I'm the one logged in. It's my profile. You would be in the top left if you were logged in and you checked the members page. But I can also see other people who are actively in AQ right now, which is neat. Next is your group. Most of the groups are institutions. So we can see Somerset Community College. We can see Northern Arizona University, but also we've got teaching STEM courses. There's a group that is dedicated to teaching with AI. So you can find either groups that you're interested in terms of your interests or your institution. So if we wanted to find Mount West, here we are. I could click on it and it would take me to, I mentioned earlier, we have kind of like a Facebook-esque type thing through AQ. This is it. So we have our little group where you can see where I posted on our wall, as it were, our feed. So we can communicate with one another here. We can like things, we can reply, you can post documents, you can share a course that you thought was super interesting, and all of that stays within our community, which I think is super neat. That's really helpful, especially for us as we sit down months and months from now with everyone in that cohort to talk about what are you learning? What are the challenges? What are the things that you've implemented that worked really well? A lot of that discussion can start here. Does it have to? No, but it is a really cool option. Next are forums. If you pine for the days of using forums on the internet, you can do that here. So they do have a Commons weekly chatter option. They give a theme each week, and then you can talk about that theme with people from other institutions if you are interested. The thing that I think is great, though, is that they have this search forums option, and if there is a specific content area in which you are interested, you can just search for it. So, yesterday, for example, and this was kind of a hot button topic, maybe I shouldn't have used it as the example, but I typed in artificial intelligence, and it gave me like 5 pages of forums that were about artificial intelligence in relation to everything that AQ does. So if you're seeing this, if you're looking at the all discussions and you were like, God, that's a lot, I don't want to go through all of that, you can just search based on content areas. Next is our events tab. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It's all of the events to which you have access as part of AQ. So let's say that, for example, I'm interested in this one right here, which is about student success card decks, which I think are super neat. Let's say that you read the blurb and you think, yeah, I want to do that. Looks like we've got 20 people that are currently signed up to attend. If I want to attend, all I have to do is hit going. It'll have my info because I'm already logged in, and then I hit finish. And I'll get a little email about it that says, hey, you're gonna attend this thing. So if you are interested in attending any of their professional development opportunities outside of everything that we're already going to be doing with the certification courses and the quick studies, you can do that. And then finally, there's a resource library. This is kind of a catch-all spot. So you got the blogs, you have the courses, you have the discussions, the events, etc. You can filter if you are at all used to going through, and I'm sure all of you are, all of the databases hosted by EBSCO. You've got that same kind of filtering option over here on the left-hand side. I don't think this section is too strenuous to navigate, but if you want to put in a filter, you can. Let's say that I want everything related to AI. Now that I've hit that filter, everything that's here mentions AI to some degree. So we've got rubrics that will incorporate some element of AI or using AI, setting classroom norms and expectations. It's an AI powered workshop. Or, don't wait, your AI teaching strategy for fall starts right now. You can filter through different disciplines, whatever it is that you want to do. So all of that is just the site itself, which I think is super exciting because it's all in one place and I think it's very user intuitive. But let's talk about the courses themselves. So if you participate in one of two of our AQ cohorts, more on the size of these cohorts later, but we will have 45 people in total. Those are the seats that we purchased. Those that participate in either of the cohorts will be completing the following 4 courses, and those are creating a productive learning environment, promoting active learning, inspiring inquiry and preparing lifelong learners, and designing learner-centered courses. Each of these courses is 6 weeks long, and we will complete 2 per semester. So you'll see on your screen that it says the courses are completed over the course of 1 academic year. We're really not including summer. We're absolutely not including summer. I shouldn't hedge. You will have 2 courses in the fall, 2 courses in the spring. So we average like 16-week semesters. You will have 12 of those weeks that are dedicated to working on these courses. And again, it is a cohort model, so you won't be selecting one of these courses and deciding, well, I'm going to go do this while everyone else does this. Everyone will be in the same course. So you're going to start with creating a productive learning environment. So is everyone else in the cohort. You're going to be doing it together. And by doing it together, I don't mean group work, more on what the work looks like here in a moment, but everyone is going to be working on the same content at the same pace. So there are deadlines associated with it. And let's go ahead and break that down a little bit more. So in terms of our structure, participants will be given a monthly schedule for the 26 to 27 academic year, explaining the progression of the courses, meetings, deliverables, etc. So that schedule will be delivered at the beginning of August. And our participants in the first cohort are going to be identified next month based upon a participation survey. More on that later. But you will have a guide of here is what you are doing each week, and there will be different support systems that are there to help you as you progress. One of which will, of course, be our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. In terms of the pathways, because you will see 2 for these certification courses, we have a traditional pathway and then an online pathway. AQ offers both. The first cohort will be completing the traditional pathway. A little bit of a look behind the scenes at how the sausage is made, as it were. We were given 3 different packages. to choose from. And the third package was kind of a, not a free-for-all, but it was more of a, you can have some folks in the traditional pathway and also some folks in the online pathway, and they get to choose what they want to do. And we thought, well, it's our first time doing something like this. Let's maybe not do that. However, I reached out to our rep and I said, hey, our first cohort is going to do that traditional pathway. Would we, hypothetically, be able to have the second cohort do the online pathway if academic affairs decided they wanted that to happen? That's a big if, it's all hypothetical. And the rep said, yes, that would be fine. It would just be that everyone in that cohort would have to do the same thing. So that's something to keep in mind. For this first cohort, just the traditional pathway, that is where we are staying. In terms of commitment, that's a big question. How much work are you going to have to commit for, or how much time do you have to commit each week? We are looking at, on average, 3 hours of work per week as you progress through each course. There is a note here that says that might vary depending on what the content is that week. And I say that because when we talk about quick studies, it's promoted as these 1 hour tiny snippet lessons. I've gone through a quick study in 40 minutes. Sometimes they're an hour long. Sometimes they are not. So there might be a week where you do 2 hours of work instead of three. It's not going to be set exact every single time, but you must budget a handful of hours each week to complete this work. Now, I would love to show you the inside of a certification course. But again, we can't get in there yet. It hasn't yet launched. However, I can give you a preview of what to expect, in part through the quick studies and also through information that Michael Hellard shared with us back in January. As you move through these courses, you will learn a given content area that week. You'll be given resources for it, guides, there will be videos. Those videos will include instructors demoing and demonstrating how to do whatever that content area is with their students. And then your assignment, as it were, will be to utilize that new content area, that new tool, that new skill in your class that week. And then you write a reflection at the end of the week talking about what worked and what did not. Now, I do want to be very clear, just like how we are with our students, we give leeway. If somebody needs an extension, we provide it. You can still get an extension here. So don't worry if you need an extra 48 hours to turn in your reflection. It's not a big deal. But there are bespoke deadlines. You do have to move at the same pace as the rest of the cohort within the institution. So that is the commitment that you will be looking at. You do have a couple hours each week. Now, like I said, I am going to use part of the quick studies to demo what the insides of some of these courses will look like because the guides, the videos, the quality is not going to change between the quick studies and the certification courses. And there are tons of quick studies. You probably saw when I first logged into ACUE that there was a little note that said, hey, this quick study is brand new. They upload a new one every, I think it's 1.5 to 2 weeks. That's about what I've seen this semester while I've been in the site, which I think is great. You're always getting new stuff. And some of them, not all, but some, can be grouped into kind of like collective lessons. So the first of which here is artificial intelligence in higher education, but there are also some about supporting student well-being and essential student skills and literacies. So lots of different things, lots of different groupings to consider. The big one that you have heard us promoting on campus is the facilitating the deliberative dialogue. Now, like I've stressed before, one more time, we are not starting anything. No one's getting paid until August 24th of 2026. So you are not required to do anything in the quick studies right now. It's entirely optional. However, ACUE is currently working with a Carnegie grant. They're trying to get a bunch of folks through the Facilitating Deliberative Dialogue series so they can then get feedback on it. And I think they're going to try and do it again as this large study next year. So that's where that plug has come from. They really want us to participate, but I did want to stress that you don't want to do free labor. I understand that. So you don't have to do it, but that is why we've been promoting it. And I can say, as someone who's gone through all of it, it's awesome. The resources are great, the guides are fantastic, and it's really interesting to hear not just the faculty's perspective, but also the students. Because anytime there is a video in your observe section, which you'll see in a moment, you will get feedback from the students that are participating, which that's what it's all about, right? Helping the students. And it's been really cool to see their responses. Let me go ahead and check the chat here. Mary also said it's very high quality. Yeah, it's fantastic. So let me go ahead and first talk about this menu, and then I'll show you how to get here. So when you open a quick study, you are going to see a menu like this one. So I took this back in February. This was the wellness lens, supporting students' mental well-being. And these are your given sections for a quick study. This will not change. This is how it is consistently. You have your engage section. That's where you start. Sometimes you read a little bit, sometimes you take a survey, sometimes you answer a question, but it's super low stakes. You get through there very fast. Next is your learn section. That is where you typically watch a video from an expert explaining or defining whatever it is this subject matter is. So they'll explain how it works, what you're going to be going over, why it's important in the first place. And then you get to the observe portion. That's the longest part of your quick study. That might be one video, it might be three. In the case of the deliberative dialogue, it was three, and you would get to see how three different instructors approached implementing a deliberative dialogue, so facilitating a discussion about a controversial subject matter with students in class, and then getting not just the instructor's perspective, but also what the students felt worked and maybe didn't work. And it's really great to watch it all unfold kind of in real time. You get to your practice section. That is where you are given a bunch of guides. So, all right, it's time to do this on your own. Here are the skills, the toolkit you might need to be able to do it. And then you complete a brief reflection. In the reflection section, you are given three questions. You must answer one of them. It's totally informal, but they're usually, how do you intend to do this? How does this shape how you approach X assignment in your courses? Or what guidelines are you currently providing for in-class discussions? Or do you provide guidelines at all? Sometimes they really highlight some blind spots in the ways that I've approached some of my classes, which has been really helpful. But it's super informal. There's no rubric associated with it. And once you're finished with your reflection, they do give you an opportunity to explore other professionals in the field and also a section for your citations. And then you hit complete, and that's it. And like I said, some are an hour long, some are less than that. So let me go ahead and show you in ACUE where you can access these. Technically, you can do it from your resource library, but if we're at the homepage, you can see this big section over here for your quick studies. So I want to see all courses. All right. You can see that this one is in progress. I'm gonna tell on myself a little bit. This is a fib. When I did my dry run of this session by myself yesterday, I was clicking through the quick studies, and I learned this is like the one bug I've seen in the quick studies so far. If you just click through the individual sections, it will say, "Yay, you did it!" Even though I didn't actually watch any videos, I was just clicking through the sections. So keep that in mind. I don't think anybody is going to abuse that system, but it will do that. So be careful where you click because it will think that you've watched things that you have not. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one as my dummy example. Let's say that I want to do this course. It'll bring me to my little menu. Hey, here is everything that you're going to see. And then I'll go to engage because this is where I've been thus far. And here we have a connecting course goals to career readiness, a quick study course. It is just a 1 minute and 20-second video explaining what it's going to be. If I get to the learn section, I get my learning objectives, and then an expert is going to walk me through some of this information. I can also download the transcript for the video if I want to do that. I get to my observe section. There, you see that kind of glitch in the system here. And then in our observe section, we see several different videos where people are actively working with students and you will get student feedback. Not for you, but like for what was happening in the video. So super fantastic, really great things that you can learn very quickly. If you are somebody who's very, cautious with your time because you've got a lot going on, you're very busy as an instructor and also maybe a chair leader and a whole bunch of other stuff, you can learn a whole lot in these little snippets of time. So again, you get dynamic instruction, lots of different ways to get information about the students and how they are responding and how to handle different content areas. You get all of those resources like your downloadable transcript and those additional resource guides, and then you complete that brief reflection at the end, which then brings you to your cute little badge. Which again, if you are somebody who likes that stuff, you like to see the number go up, you like to get badges on your profile, ACUE is the thing for you, because these are pretty cute, I think. So you get access to those immediately. Only other caveat I can think of is that you do get lots of emails. You will get an email for the points that you received. You will get an email for receiving a badge. That's kind of a lot, in my opinion. But again, it's positive. They're trying to support you as you move through it. When you open those emails, there's confetti. So it's cute. Nothing's wrong with it or anything. So that's what we've got. In terms of the resources, let's talk rollout. What does this look like? From really more like January to March, we were in our planning stages. So you heard some of that at executive or faculty council or through the CETL newsletter or the mid-month updates. That was the creation of the 2-year rollout plan. I do have that open in another tab if we'd like to get into the minutia of that. We do not have to. But just suffice it to say, it does exist. We've got a plan for every single month for the next 2 years of how we intend to handle all of this. So we are here in April. We are at the participation, preparation, and launch section. So during this period, the first ACUE cohort will be identified via application. More on that in a few minutes. This process will begin after this presentation. Once all participants have been identified, they will receive a schedule for upcoming meetings, courses, etc. A planning session will be held before in-service, and then the first official work session will happen during in-service. Let me go ahead and check our chat here. Oh, yay! So Mary said it looks like you can change your account settings. You can deselect email for some notifications. Mary, thank you so much. That's fantastic. Um, Yay, because sometimes it's really overwhelming to get all of those emails. So again, where we are right now, you're going to get that participation survey after this session. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to be sending that out to all faculty. I do want to stress right now we're working with full-time faculty. There are some institutions that bring adjuncts into it. We're going to consider it maybe for the second cohort, but for right now, we're really just focusing on full-time faculty. And then there will be those additional planning sessions, those first of which are really just there to support you, make sure that you understand the expectations, and also the resources that are available to you. The first course will begin in August. So from September to November, what we're going to do, and by we I mean the CETL, is I'm going to find an open room, likely it's going to be GO7C when it's available, and we're going to have optional biweekly meetings. I do want to stress that these are optional. One thing that a lot of institutions do as they go through ACUE is they reserve a room every other week or every week, kind of just depends on the institution, but they provide a space for participants to come and work on things together. It is not required. Some people really like that community aspect. Some people like it because it's a kind of accountability. I was part of something called Write It Out at Marshall when I was in grad school, and it was a collection of people in the English department library, usually just working in silence. But it was a really nice way for all of us to hold ourselves accountable for working on our projects. Sometimes there was discussion, and that was great, but always there was work being completed. You would not have to attend those meetings. They're entirely optional. They would be there to help, and I, as the CETL director, would be there every single time in case anyone needed anything. Now, in terms of things that you would have to participate in, right, outside of those certification courses, at the end of the semester, so in December, the end of fall 26, there will be a meeting where faculty will gather to share what they've learned and potentially plan a session for January in service based on those skills. You will also be expected to complete a very brief reflection in a Microsoft form. It's going to ask you what's worked well, what challenges you've encountered, how has that implementation process gone in your course. There are a couple reasons for that. I'll talk about that in a moment, but this is what things look like from now until December. I should note too that in the rollout plan, essentially the plan is the same each semester. The only difference is that in May 27, a participation survey is going to be sent out to all participants in the first cohort to ask what the CETL could do better to support you. What worked well, what didn't, how can we help? There will be 25 participants in cohort 1. There will be 20 participants in cohort 2. So the first cohort is going to be the bigger one. And again, I do have our rollout plan here. If you're interested in it, I can shoot it your way. It's got questions that are in the survey and all kinds of things. So if you want to be nosy and you want to find out what's happening in May of 28, You can do that. But I'm not gonna do that right now. If you're interested, though, please just shoot me an email and I'll make that happen. Now, why are we asking you to write a reflection if you're already doing mini reflections in AQ? Well, first, that goes to AQ, not to us. And if we've learned anything about our journey towards our next meeting with the Higher Learning Commission, we want to make sure that we've got evidence of improved student learning. We're doing a really, really great job of that right now. The assessment committee has been super happy to see all of the improvements. Again, so excited to share some really cool data at the end of the semester. But like other large scale initiatives, there will need to be demonstrable proof of student learning improvement as a result of implementing ACUE. It's great if we do it, but they need to see that we did it and it had a demonstrable effect, right? So, to meet this need without creating additional necessary work, the CETL will ask the following of participants at the conclusion of each semester. One, composing a brief reflection covering the implementation of strategies learned, including student reception. It says 1 to 2 pages because I'm approximating how much writing you would have to do. But again, it's going to be in a Microsoft form so that it all goes to one place and it can be easily accessible. So you're not doing a whole lot of writing. Number two, participate in group discussions about AQ lessons throughout the semester. Like I mentioned, those biweekly meetings, those are optional, but you're responding to emails. You are participating in the community within the AQ page that I showed you. So lots of different ways to participate in the group. As long as you're communicating, you're fine. And then finally, assist in developing a session for the next in-service. You might also be asked to maybe participate in one of the CETL's monthly sessions, depending on those time slots. Are we going to hold you at gunpoint? No. But you're getting a lot of expertise out of this. We do want to make sure that you are using it to help your peers along with your students. Now, what are we going to get from AQ? So we know what we're giving them. You know what you're giving the CETL and the college in terms of what's working for your students, but what are they going to give us? It's great that we're participating, but we're paying them. Are we getting more than resources and guides? Yes, absolutely. So upon completing AQ, Mount West will be provided with a data packet including information on the following: completion rates over the 2 years in which people are participating in AQ, DFW rates, pass rates, and then average grades. Specifically, these will be comparative rates between the existing baselines and groups of participants in AQ versus those not participating. So we're going to get a whole packet of data upon completing AQ. So that's going to be in 2028. So we'll be able to take that and then use it to, work on our next strategic plan or to work on whatever it is that's been identified in terms of any of those gaps or blind spots or issues that we would need to focus on. We'll also have by that point 2 cohorts that will have gone through AQ. They will have learned a lot and they can share that with the collective. So just because maybe you don't get to participate in AQ, maybe you're just too busy the next 2 years, it doesn't mean you're not still getting something out of it. The college will always be learning and always be, to a degree, changing, right? So let's talk benefits. We're doing all of this stuff. What do you get out of it? Outside of course, improved, quality in your courses. You get, first and foremost, AQ certification. AQ certification is the only one of its kind in higher education. We've had a lot of conversations both here on campus and also at conferences about how a lot of fields have a certification that you need to enter it. Higher ed does not. Plenty of people enter the classroom without being formally trained in how to teach. AQ is the only certification of its kind that does actually provide that certification. And in 2 years, at the conclusion of our participation, there will be a pinning ceremony here at Mount West when you receive your certification. Now, when we're talking about that word, the knee-jerk reaction sometimes is to ask, so do I have to re-up it? Do I have to do it over and over? Which is a valid question to ask. AQ does not have a set rule of, yes, you have to re-up this thing. It is a certification. You've got it. The only kind of the 10% of that answer that's not a no depends on the institution, not AQ. So there is no rule from AQ that says that you have to do this every 3 years. Instead, it is dependent upon your institution. And right now, there are no discussions, at least that I've been part of, here at Mount West that say, oh yeah, we're going to do this every 4, 6 years, right? One, expensive, but two, you've got the certification. If you are entering a field, you get your certification typically, and if I am wrong, by all means, somebody correct me. But you get that certification and then you enter that workforce. Will you have to participate in other kinds of professional development to continue improving? Yes, absolutely. But if you're an educator, you're not going back and taking Praxis 1 and Praxis 2 every 5 years. There's other PD that you have to do, but not that first level of certification. So don't go into this thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to do this every 3 or 4 years. You're not. There'll be other PD that happens at Mount West, of course, and we hope that you participate in it, but that's not how AQ works. Again, you get the videos that are high quality, super accessible resources, and the concepts in the lessons are widely applicable. The first quick study that I watched had people from a geography course, an English course, a philosophy, and then because yeah, these people would have to be trained, a person teaching a group of students how to be a competent tour guide in another country. Which is super cool, but also wildly different fields. So you get a lot of different lessons that can apply to different classrooms. And then stipend or release time. So I didn't include a number for the stipend in this slide. It's currently being discussed. I will say, to Dr. Baker's credit, when the initial number went to his desk, he did say, I would like it to be higher if it can be. So we're working on it, but there is a stipend associated with the completion of an AQ cohort. So of course you would be compensated
Morgan,
for your time. Yes.
it'll it'll be 2100.
Oh, okay, cool. So it is going to be 2100. Yay. That's awesome. So, hooray! You will have that at the conclusion of AQ, so you will be compensated for all of your hard work. Now, brief moment for just some buzz around AQ that I heard at conferences, namely at Achieving the Dream. So I went to one session that was about enhanced PD, not specifically about AQ, but they touched on it briefly, and a rep was there. And people who were not AQ representatives said the following. AQ prompted me to rethink the nature of my assessments. Or, I now utilize tools I felt were pointless because AQ taught me how to use them effectively. She meant discussion boards in particular. And then finally, the resources were always accessible and engaging. And at one point, an AQ rep had to stand up and explain, I did not plant these people or ask them to share these things. This is entirely voluntary because the folks that were sharing were in the audience. They were not the presenters. So I have heard nothing but good things about AQ. So let's say that you've listened to me talk and you are like, I want involved. How do I apply? Number one, that participation survey going to be going out at the end of this session. It'll be via email. You will want to do that first. That will ask you what cohort you want to be in, what modality do you normally teach with, and a couple other questions. It will be based on a first come first serve basis, but the names will be going to academic affairs before I make any decisions. You will then have to confirm your interest. I will shoot you an email in May saying, hey, you completed this thing. Do you still want to do it? Things might change over the course of a few weeks. Maybe you change your mind. So I do want to make sure we confirm in May. That will also mean confirming that you understand the expectations. And then finally, attending that norming session in August, where we once again talk expectations and resources, and we go over the plan for that academic year so that you understand week by week what is expected of you. Okay, so we've got a good chunk of time left before 11. What questions do you have? And as a reminder, I'll turn my video back on just so that you can see this silly little speaker that AQ sent me. If you drop a question in the chat, you will be entered to win this thing. So if you want to be that guy in the elevator who's playing his music out loud and annoying everybody else, you can do that. Or if you're going to the beach and you want to have a tiny little speaker that is free so you don't have to worry about getting sand in it, you can. So what questions do you have? There is no way I explained it that well. There's got to be something I missed.
I don't have a question, but I'm super excited what this going to offer our faculty and our students.
Me too. Me too. It's been fantastic. I've really loved going through it. And also, if you ever have questions, like while you're going through the course, maybe there is an issue and you want that thing cleared up, or there's a tech problem, shoot me an email. I can contact Jeremiah Ship. He's awesome. He gets back to me in like an hour or less. So, absolutely fantastic team working with us as well. Has any other West Virginia college gone through this? Julie asks. So, yeah, that's a really good question. Fairmont is going through it right now. They started back in January. Sarah and I met with them right as they were launching it. They are actually the first institution that talked to me about having those biweekly optional meetings where they reserve a conference room and just give people a space to hang and to work together if need be. And they said it worked really well. But they have had an absolutely fantastic time doing it, and not West Virginia institutions, but several of the other CETLs that we've spoken with. So Sinclair up in Dayton, Davidson Davy, and a couple others had all gone through ACUE as well, and they talked to Sarah and I about it during our meetings with them, and they were all overwhelmingly positive.
I want to add that
Hmm.
the majority, I don't think we talked to one institution that does it that gave their faculty any financial incentive.
That is
So
true.
the fact that Mount West is willing and able to do that, and the faculty just saw the rewards for themselves. I mean, it's a rare type of certification that you can get for specifically teaching in higher ed. So the fact that you can do it, A, for free, and then B, that you actually get a financial reward for it, for
Mhm.
participation and completion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree because that was something that we really wanted to stress that we were going to, reward folks that were going through it. And there were so many CETLs where they were like, no, no, we just they just had to do it. And we were like, well, I don't know. And thankfully, we have the SIP grant. And Dr. Baker is very passionate about making sure that people are getting paid to get the PD that they need or want. So we're very lucky in that regard. So I want to go ahead and answer these questions as they're coming in. Kendra asks, do you think it would be better to try it out in a face-to-face class or online? So for the traditional pathway in this first cohort, things will be geared towards those face-to-face classes. However, there will be a guide included in the lessons that says, hey, you might teach online classes. Here is how you can adapt this for
Yeah.
that specific course. So I would say try it in a face-to-face first, but if you are, let's say hypothetically teaching exclusive online courses and you end up in that first cohort, you can try it in the online section too. So some of it's up to your discretion, but they will give you guides for both, even if you're just in that traditional pathway. And then Kim asks, do you get the 21 distributed all at once or over a period of time? That is a good question, and I don't think I have an answer to that one. Do you guys know?
Well, it would be upon completion. So the
So all at
certification would
once.
have to be complete. So I would imagine it would be all at once or maybe over a short period of time.
Okay.
But we would have to work that out. So if completion was to be expected May of 27, then it could be, either all at once or spread out over a short period of time, maybe that summer. We haven't worked that detail out yet.
But you will get it. You will have some really nice paychecks, either 1 week or for several weeks. Um, okay. Mike said during COVID, my wife did a couple of AQ courses and loved them. Yeah, I seriously, any time I've been in a conversation with AQ, it's just like constant testimonials from people who've done it.
It's
Um,
all been very positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're the kind of person too, who looks at some elements of professional development and it feels like people are just using a bunch of buzzwords and moving their hands and saying nothing, that does not happen in the AQ videos at all. It's all very down to earth. Everything is super applicable. Like it's awesome. Julie asks, is an AQ rep coming back for fall in service? They have offered. We are currently working on beginning to develop, like deciding, okay, we're going to do these days for in service. Here are the sessions that we're going to have. And if we feel like we want to have the rep come back, we can. And again, they've offered to do so. But for right now, nothing concrete has been decided yet. It's a possibility, though.
I don't think it would be necessary,
Mhm.
but we'll discuss.
Mhm. He's also offered to do like small virtual sessions if anybody needs it as well. They're super happy to help in literally any way.
Well,
Any
Morgan, you got some questions?
I did. So I'm
You
gonna
have some names to put in the
We
system.
do. So I'll be, as soon as this is over, I'll put them in a random generator and you will get an email from me saying if you got a speaker. Um, and it's super cute, it's super light. I should also note too that there is, if somebody wants it, you can just come to my office. I was also given a glasses cleaning wipe from AQ, so if you want that, just come by my office. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anxieties, anything at all? Keep in mind again, this is recorded, so if you've got a question or you want to make a comment, somebody else might have that question later and they could go ahead and get it answered here.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right. Thank you guys. This is fantastic. All right, we're gonna get out 10 minutes early. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn our recording off. Excellent.